Hello and welcome. I'm Miraj and you are watching Tech It Out. Now I remember a few years back having this really insightful conversation with an AI chatbot. They were still new at the time, we were all very curious. So I was speaking to it about existentialism, Sartre, the meaning of life, so to speak. And I remember it had this remarkable insight into humanity and itself. It said that AI is not animate. It cannot differentiate between a saint and a psychopath, and it will only scale what human beings ask it to scale. So in a sense, what it was saying was that AI essentially mirrors humanity. And that has turned out to be such a prescient thing to say, because today, if we look at it, AI is being used to create entirely inanimate fighting battalions, it's being used to make new age vaccines, it's being used to create interesting versions of martial arts that don't involve real violence, it's even being used to communicate with avatars of those who are no longer with us. All these stories coming up in this episode of Tech It Out. Now, AI is a mirror to humanity. Our feelings, our values, our desires, at least how we decide to use it is. Now, if there is one thing that has always intrigued humanity, it is the afterlife. The desire to make contact with loved ones who've passed away has been a universal human feeling throughout recorded history. Now, whether you consider chatting with AI avatars of deceased relatives morbid or therapeutic, well, that's subjective, but clearly there are a number of takers for the technology, and it's become quite a thing in South Korea. Have a look. Human beings have always had an innate desire to communicate with loved ones who've passed away. From the Ouija board to psychics, there's no dearth of conduits claiming to communicate with the dead. In South Korea, people are now trying to do the same thing with artificial intelligence, with a difference. Technology companies are offering AI-generated videos that recreate the appearance and voices of deceased family members. Customers provide old photographs, voice recordings, and a written script. AI then reconstructs a digital version of that person, generating realistic facial expressions, lip movements, and speech that match the script. One of the companies behind the technology is Seoul-based startup WION. The company says it creates around 300 videos every month, with most customers being people in their 40s and 50s who want to have a word with AI avatars of their late parents, of other relatives, as gifts for their own parents. One customer, 28-year-old Lee Jeon-hui, used the service to surprise his father. Now, Lee never met his grandfather, who passed away in a car accident before he was born. Knowing how much his father missed him, Lee asked the company to create a video in which his grandfather appeared to speak directly to his son. Lee wrote the script himself.
It could not be a surprise gift if I had discussed it with my father first. So I wrote the script based on what I had always wanted to tell him, but made it look like my grandfather was saying those words to him.
In the video, the AI-generated avatar of the grandfather calls his father "my most precious son," apologizes for making him work on the family farm as a child, and even expresses regret for opposing his decision to become a hairstylist. Lee says his father initially refused to watch the video.
My father initially said he won't see this video, but after seeing it, he shed tears. So I felt rewarded.
But after seeing it, he broke down in tears. For Lee, the technology offered an opportunity for closure, for his father to hear things that he should have heard from his own father. Now, creating these videos begins by curating memories. The company requires only a few photographs and short voice recordings of the deceased.
What we basically need is existing voice samples and photos, so we can restore their appearances. AI can learn from and reconstruct a person's existing voice and photos, then generate speech for any script the user wants, and create video footage matching any desired appearance.
AI analyzes those images to reconstruct facial features while learning speech patterns, tone, and pronunciation from the available audio. AI is then used to completely generate new speech for any script written by the customer. Finally, the system synchronizes facial movements, expressions, and lip movements to produce a realistic video. According to the company, every project is different because every family shares a unique story.
항상 짠하고요.
Each client's story is different. The stories they give us are so diverse. There are always something new and touching elements.
대부분의 내용도 다 천차만별이기 때문에 항상 다르고 새롭고 항상 감동이 있습니다.
Developers say future AI systems could in fact support real-time conversations with digital versions of deceased people.
정말 더 이게 AI 기술이 워낙
AI technology is developing rapidly that interactive two-way communication would naturally be included as well. If we go further, we could eventually reach a stage where we can physically create something like humanoid robots with voices of dead people.
로봇에다가 음성을 넣고 그런 단계까지도 갈 수 있지 않을까라는 생각도 해봅니다.
For now, Vice has chosen not to launch an AI chatbot service. The company says that unsupervised conversations with AI recreations could create unexpected ethical and psychological problems. Experts also warn that while the technology may comfort grieving families, it raises important questions about consent, privacy, and the rights of people who are no longer there. Have you ever wondered why we don't have a vaccine for the common cold? Well, it's simply because the virus that causes the common cold mutates so quickly and so many times that it's virtually impossible to have a vaccine for it. Even amongst less virulent diseases, scientists have to race to create vaccines for different strains before a new one appears. Now, using AI, researchers at the University of Cambridge may have just made a major breakthrough. They are creating a new kind of vaccine that doesn't target a virus but apparently could work across a family of viruses. If that works out, it could be a massive breakthrough for medical science.
For decades, vaccine development has largely followed the same pattern. A virus emerges, scientists identify it, and then begin developing a vaccine specifically for that strain. But by the time vaccines become available, viruses often mutate, creating new variants that may reduce their effectiveness. Researchers at the University of Cambridge are now working on a different approach. Using artificial intelligence, they have developed a vaccine platform that identifies the parts of viruses that remain largely unchanged across multiple variants. Instead of targeting one strain, the technology is designed to generate immunity against an entire family of related viruses.
Well, it's a way of making vaccines that allow us to be proactive, meaning ahead of the curve with viruses instead of being behind the curve. We're always reacting. Viruses are getting ahead of us, and then we end up chasing them with, vaccines to variant X, Y, and Z. And what we're doing is going to change that paradigm.
The goal is to stop constantly chasing new variants and instead build broader, longer-lasting protection. The idea was shaped by lessons learned during the 2013 to 2016 Ebola outbreak in West Africa. When the outbreak began, the disease was initially mistaken for other illnesses, delaying both diagnosis and vaccine development. During those critical months, the virus spread rapidly across several countries, eventually claiming more than 11,000 lives, according to the World Health Organization. Following the outbreak, researchers began looking for a way to redesign vaccines before the next pandemic arrived. Artificial intelligence became a key part of that effort.
And it was during COVID, during the SARS-CoV-2 outbreak, that we decided it was time to design a vaccine that was different. Not one based on a variant isolated from, a couple months ago, but based on all the sequences out there, and we could put them together and to make a target that would protect from all the variants that could potentially cause an outbreak or a pandemic.
By analyzing enormous amounts of genetic data, AI can identify the similarities shared across different virus variants while filtering out constantly changing mutations. This allows vaccines to focus on stable viral targets that remain common across an entire virus family. Scientists believe this approach is becoming increasingly important because new infectious diseases are emerging more frequently. Population growth, expanding international travel, and increasing human contact with wildlife are creating more opportunities for viruses to spread from animals to people. The first human trial of the new platform has already been completed. A study involving 39 volunteers tested a universal sarbecovirus coronavirus vaccine developed using the AI-assisted technology. The trial, sponsored by University Hospital Southampton and published in the Journal of Infection, reported no significant safety concerns.
Well, first we need to show that they're safe, and that's what we've just done. We've done the first in human trial, and then we go on to do phase 2 trials, or we can license these microchips, if you like, of vaccines to pharma partners who have the capacity to manufacture these and scale up in the event that, pandemic is looming.
The vaccine will now move into larger clinical trials to evaluate how effectively it protects against multiple coronavirus strains. Researchers say this is still an early-stage technology, but they believe it could fundamentally change how vaccines are designed. Rather than producing new vaccines every time a virus evolves, future vaccines could provide protection across entire groups of viruses. Scientists also say newer AI tools are helping them analyze larger data sets faster than ever before, accelerating vaccine research and development.
We look at the three-dimensional structure to make sure that it's the essential core of all those variants. So these proteins, these antigens that we're making, are representative of a whole family or whole subfamily that gives us protection from no matter which variant may arise.
If successful, the technology could improve global preparedness for future outbreaks and reduce the time needed to respond when the next emerging virus appears.
At the rate at which Taekwondo fighters are adopting it, virtual Taekwondo is not a fad. In fact, it's expected to make it to the next edition of the Asian Games. It's not gimmicky and in fact enables fighters across ages and weight classes to fight against each other. Well, it does look a bit odd, and I doubt it can compare to fighting against a human opponent, but you won't get hurt and it's fun, so what's the harm? Have a look.
For decades, Taekwondo has been a sport of speed, precision, and physical contact. Now, a new version is emerging where the opponent is digital. The arena exists inside a virtual reality headset, and every kick is tracked by motion sensors. Welcome to virtual Taekwondo, a new discipline that combines virtual reality with traditional martial arts, turning real-world movements into digital combat. At this tournament in Kuala Lumpur, athletes step onto the mat wearing virtual reality headsets and motion tracking sensors attached to their spine, thighs, and shins. As they move, their actions are instantly translated into a digital avatar fighting inside a virtual arena. There is no physical contact between competitors. Instead, every accurate kick, turning strike, or well-timed attack reduces an opponent's virtual health bar. The sport was co-developed by World Taekwondo and Singapore-based technology company Refract Technologies. After debuting at Olympic Esports Week in 2023, it held its first World Championships a year later. Now, it is preparing to make its Asian Games debut, with plans to feature at the 2027 Southeast Asian Games. While the matches take place inside a virtual world, the athletic demands are very real. Players still need stamina, flexibility, balance, and the ability to execute precise Taekwondo techniques. The difference is that success depends less on the force of a strike and more on its speed, timing, and accuracy. The technology also changes who can compete. Unlike traditional Taekwondo, there are no divisions based on weight, age, or gender. Everyone enters the same digital arena, where the outcome is determined by movement, strategy, and fitness.
Also, I always told the parents.
I always tell the parents, your kids love gaming. Do you want them to use their hands to play or their legs to play? There is a real difference because when they put on the headset and start to fight right, wow. Their energy is so much that they can play and play and play and they love it. So a lot of my young students, they love this virtual Taekwondo.
This virtual Taekwondo.
Behind the experience is a combination of virtual reality, motion capture, and real-time body tracking. The headset creates the digital arena while the wearable sensors continuously measure each athlete's movements. Those movements are processed in real time, allowing the system to detect kicks, direction, timing, and technique before animating them on screen. For many athletes, mastering the technology is as important as mastering the martial art. Vietnamese national athlete Nguyen Thanh Hien Linh says her first competition felt completely different from conventional Taekwondo. Even with years of elite experience, she had to learn an entirely new way of fighting. 2 years later, she has already won gold in the discipline.
More difficult, you have to move and have a guess where the direction of your opponent go.
For coaches, virtual Taekwondo is not replacing the traditional sport. It is creating another way to experience it. The non-contact format reduces the risk of injury, while allowing younger, older, and more diverse athletes to compete on equal terms.
I have a word for that. It's called game sense. We want a Taekwondo player with a very good game sense, which they know what they are doing. Oh, I'm playing a game, but I'm using my body to control it. So how should I play the game using my own body? That's the game sense definition in virtual Taekwondo.
As virtual reality continues to move beyond gaming, sport is becoming one of its fastest growing playgrounds, and virtual Taekwondo offers a glimpse of what that future could look like, where athletes still win with skill, speed, and fitness. But the battlefield exists entirely in the digital world.
Here we go again. Now, the French army is developing a new generation of AI-powered robotic combat units designed to operate together, share information, and support human soldiers on the front line. So you have drones communicating with robotic armed vehicles and independently coordinating strikes and campaigns. Now, as long as they're not killing human beings and just killing other robots, that's fine. But we all know that's not going to be the case. Have a look.
The war in Ukraine has changed the way modern armies think about robots. On today's battlefields, ground robots are already delivering supplies, evacuating wounded soldiers, and in some cases, even capturing enemy positions. Now, France is preparing for the next stage. Not just remote-controlled machines, but robotic combat units capable of working together using artificial intelligence. The project is called Pendragon, and its aim is to build one of the first AI-enabled robotic combat units in Europe. At the French Army's training ground in Brittany, engineers, soldiers, and AI researchers are teaching robots how to navigate the battlefield on their own. The goal is not simply to build smarter robots, but to create what the army calls a collective AI. In Ukraine, most ground robots and drones are still operated individually by human pilots. Pendragon takes a different approach.
In Ukraine, the missions carried out by robots and drones are mainly missions with remotely operated devices that do not necessarily have fully autonomous artificial intelligence. With Pendragon, there is artificial intelligence on the robots.
Each robot uses its own AI to understand its surroundings, while also sharing information with other robots in the unit. The idea is for multiple machines to coordinate their movements, complete missions, and support one another with minimal human input. The French Army hopes to have its first operational robotic combat unit ready by 2027, combining around 15 ground robots with 60 autonomous drones.
Le drone est parti avec une image.
The drone set off with an image and a heading and navigated completely autonomously until it reached a perimeter that was meaningful for it, being able, thanks to AI models, to understand its situation, its surroundings, redetect the target, and then, as you saw, move in until it was just a few meters above the lorry.
Approché jusqu'à quelques mètres au-dessus du camion.
The vision goes far beyond a single machine. The French Army imagines robotic units made up of different specialists. Some vehicles could carry supplies, others could deploy drone swarms, some may provide reconnaissance, while others could be equipped with weapons or precision munitions. The program is also changing how the military develops new technology. Instead of spending years writing requirements before testing equipment, soldiers, AI engineers, and robotics companies are developing the system together, refining the software through continuous field trials.
The mindset behind Pendragon is that there really is a trio: the engineers from Amiad, the industries capable of providing technical building blocks, and then the operational personnel. We work hand in hand to gradually develop this project.
As autonomous systems become more capable, they're also raising difficult questions about the future of warfare. The French army says these are not killer robots. Officers insist that human commanders will remain responsible for every mission, assigning objectives and retaining control over the use of force.
The real change will actually be this collective intelligence we are developing through Pendragon, where a single soldier will be able to control several drones or several robots. And that will make it possible to generate momentum and achieve tactical effects on the ground on a completely different scale.
But the direction of travel is clear. Artificial intelligence is moving from the command center onto the battlefield itself. And in the next generation of military operations, soldiers may no longer be fighting alone. They could be fighting alongside teams of intelligent machines.
That story about AI avatars of people who've passed away in South Korea. I mean, that's the one that's really thought-provoking, isn't it? The promoter of the company said that it would be possible in the future to have humanoids who talk in the same voice, have a similar digital appearance. To me, that sounds like Frankenstein. And we all know how that ended. Now, it's the inherent nature of life to end. And how do you process loss and grief if you don't allow yourself to accept it? Anyway, that's super profound at this time of the day. I will leave you with that thought. Have a good weekend. Spend less time on the phone and more with people who matter to you. Do tune in for the next episode of Tech It Out on WION. See you.